Day 3, reading The Power Broker. Today is Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. Made it through pages 601 to 606, the end of the chapter. Still in part 5, The Love of Power. Just finished chapter 26, titled Two Brothers. So stop there, just quick 30 minutes. This last section really focused on Robert Moses' wife, Mary Moses. Another honestly kind of tragic character, but not because of faults of her own. I think more of a testament to the corrosive nature of Robert Moses. Caro uses this visceral imagery of a moon whose light is waning, and the parallel there, being the moon only derives its light from the sun. I guess Caro isn't the one, but there's somebody he was interviewing who said that she was a moon whose light was waning, basically. Which, yeah, what a visceral and tragic kind of metaphor. But you get the sense that this was also a brilliant woman. She herself had been involved in politics either before or at the beginning of their relationship. Obviously a very capable woman. Caro breaks down that she was kind of his right hand, even in dealing with politicians in the media, if there was ever any soirees, in remembering the names of people that Robert Moses could never remember and helping him out. Essentially, she was an incredibly supportive figure for him. And I think the lesson to be drawn here, the overarching lesson, is, especially in this period of time, kind of an element of the inherent sexism of the time and how it manifests in people of power. She was foundational to his home life being stable. She literally washed all his clothes. She, made all his food. She would literally put money in his pockets before he would leave so that he would have stuff going out. She paid all the bills, did all of these logistical things that ultimately, while they might have been silent contributions, contributed to him being able to do the work that he was doing. He was so regimented. He was a machine working 16 hours a day, which was an admirable thing, that he was able to find something that he was so passionate about, that he could channel his incredible energy into it for a lifetime. But it should be noted and remembered and considered that one of the many things that he had to stand on in order to achieve that, and probably one of the more significant things, was this wife who was supporting him at home. And then talk about corrosive effects. This is 6 pages that are essentially dedicated to her, to outline how he treated his family, but he kind of drained the life out of her. Caro basically talks about her decline. At the beginning of their relationship, she was vibrant and warm and chatty and smart, and as the relationship, or as Robert Moses came to power from struggling where she was supporting him to finally the fruits of his labor yielding success, she waned. He overshadowed her. He talked over her more and more and more in social settings. And Caro outlines kind of the descent of her trajectory in that she starts to become an alcoholic. And even at the end of the chapter, which is where we stopped, started to have increasingly serious attacks and nervous troubles, quote unquote. It reminds me sort of Kitty Oppenheimer, another woman who I only have insight into this from the movie. I haven't read the book yet. Maybe that'll be on the agenda for another time, but I think they pretty explicitly show that she was a brilliant mind, kind of born at the wrong time, in a time where there were still considerable hurdles of sexism to be overcome, where just by nature of her being a woman, she was at a disadvantage because her mind wouldn't be appreciated for what it was, and so she was stifled and suffocated. And Kitty Oppenheimer, I think, had this intensity, but she kind of descended into alcoholism. I don't think completely, I don't know the full story, but my understanding and interpretation of kind of her trajectory was that she had to be sort of forced to play second fiddle, to be a housewife, when that may not have been necessarily the life that she would have chosen for herself had she not been handicapped by the culture of the times, the culture of sexism, of disrespect towards women. Not that that's completely disappeared from our society, but hopefully it has gotten a little bit better to where women are not necessarily relegated to a home life if they don't choose it. So man, it is this tragic story, and then you just see typical Robert Moses. He does sort of use her. Caro really is pretty explicit about how in his home life he was almost a completely different person. You would never know that he was this ruthless, powerful person if you only saw him in his home life, the way that he doted on his children, the way that he woke up every morning to make breakfast, the way that he cared for the family. He was present. So in a lot of ways, good traits. But when he would be in outings with his wife, as he had come more and more to power, he was taking over the spotlight. He was kind of diminishing her a lot, not treating her as an equal, not letting her shine for what intelligence and brilliance that she herself did have, which is outlined in the book that she did have. But yeah, tragic story, and yeah, really, I guess to kind of bring it full circle, is Robert Moses is another one of the men that really was only enabled to do what he did because he had the foundations, the logistical foundations, the silent consent and support at home of a strong woman. And grateful to Robert Caro for taking at least a few pages to kind of outline that and show that this was not just a man who like stood on his own, but stood on the shoulders of others, and not in a noble way. He used up the life force of his own wife, kind of, so that he could have his dreams realized. And how many other men in history had the silent support from women and were only able to achieve what they achieved because of that silent support and obedience from women, particularly in generations past when women had no other choice. And biographers of those men didn't have as scrupulous and as thorough of an examining of their lives to showcase that there were indeed these sort of sacrificial lives in the form of women who gave up everything so that the men could have the logistical support they needed to go and pursue and realize their ambitions. So yeah, their ambitions came at the expense of these women. Obviously that's an oversimplification, but it's a point that should not be overlooked. And so yeah, just kind of a tragic realization to see the withering effect that Robert Moses' personality, in tandem with the reality of sexism at the times, had on what could have been of what was an exceptional human being, an exceptional woman. So yeah, finished the chapter. Tomorrow we'll start on chapter 27 of The Power Broker. We're going to start on chapter 27, which is the third chapter in part 5. Chapter 27, Changing. So we'll catch you on the next page.